You've signed on the dotted line and the dog is yours. You are super excited for this day because you have done the homework. You did the expectations. You introduced the dogs. You've done the meet and greets and the walks, and you're fairly certain that your dog at home is going to love having this new dog be a part of your pack, part of your family. And so now the day has come. We're going to talk about settling in those first few hours, days, and weeks. The most important of the introductions, we're talking about settling in today. And I think I'm going to be talking about some things that might open your eyes up. How the dog sees these first few days versus how we see these first few days. We're going to break it all down today. I'm excited to get into it. I hope you are too. Grab a pen and a paper. Let the dog in, let the dog out, because we're getting ready to go right now. Are you worried that your fearful dog may hurt someone or something else? Do you have to prepare just to take a walk around the block? Hi, I'm Tracy, and I too had that dog. The one that you could only walk at nighttime when no one else was around. And I felt ashamed, and oh gosh, I wish that people could just see the dog that I know and love. I wanted the confidence to be able to walk my dog and not have to worry about who or what was around the corner. And I kept telling myself that if I just keep doing obedience drills and distracting with treats, that things would get better. Until I found the secret. Fear is not something that you can train out of a dog. In this podcast, you will find tips to help build your dog's confidence naturally, communication and understanding to foster that trust, and how to address those fear-based behaviors effectively so that you can enjoy a stress-free life with your dog. So if you're ready, stop chopping those chicken wieners, grab your notebook, and let's get to it. Hello, 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 and welcome to Beyond Obedience. I'm Tracy, your host. I am so glad that you are here, my fellow dog lover, because today is part 3 of this 3-part series, Dog Intro 101, the basics on how to introduce a new dog into your family, into your pack. We've talked about setting up proper expectations before you even think about adding another dog. Last week, we talked about the actual introduction. I gave you step by step how to introduce your new dog outside of your home before you even bring them home, the importance of doing that. And finally, this week, we are talking about settling in. Once we've made the decision, we think it's a good fit, we've had a chance to walk the dogs, we know that their play styles are like and their energies and all of that good stuff, and now the day has come, we're going to have them settle in. And I want to talk about these first few days, the first few hours even, how we're going to do that. The observations that we made while we were walking the dogs, while we were watching them play, the fact that we used a very critical and keen eye, watching and asking our dogs, how do you feel about this dog? And actually listening to what our dogs have to say, removing the emotion from it so that we can make a critical observation and decision. And now here we are, the day has come. All right. So first and foremost, I want you to think about a few things as the dog is maybe on your way home. Let's say you're on your way home. I want you to think about, or maybe you should have done it beforehand. I don't know. We're going to think about a few things like, where are your dogs going to sleep? Where does your dog currently sleep? The dog that's at home. Where's your new dog going to sleep? Where will they eat? Right? Because feeding 2 dogs is different. It's not just double the cost of food. It's actually double the cost of figuring out how to do it, because food can be a trigger for some dogs. So where are they going to eat? How will they play? How are we going to exercise? What are the routines that we have? What are the boundaries we have? And I really want you to think about this before you do all this, because quite often what happens, we get the dogs home and we get into this excitement thing like, woo, the dog is here. And emotionally, especially if we've rescued the dog, emotionally, we might do things like, oh gosh, this dog has had such a rough beginning to life. I just want to let it know that now it's in this place where we all love it and it can do whatever it wants. And we just, it's all love and sunshine and rainbows and happiness here. And that's probably one of the worst things that we can do for our dogs. Okay, so today I'm actually going to be talking a lot about that. We're going to be talking about how the dog feels, what the dog sees, and what we see, and how our human emotions and the stories we tell ourselves can actually set our dogs up to fail. And we don't want to do that. Okay, so you've done great work so far, thinking about everything and looking at a critical eye. I don't want that to stop now. All right. So where are they? Let's break down those first questions there. First and foremost, where are the dogs going to sleep? First and foremost, where does your dog sleep? And there's no judgment here. If you say to me, my dog sleeps on my bed, fine. Guess where your new dog is not sleeping? Guess where your new dog's not sleeping? Your new dog is not sleeping on the bed. Not yet. Not yet. Right? We need to figure that out. Where will they eat? Okay, depending on how you feed your current dog, where's your new dog going to eat? Are we going to feed them right side by side? Not yet. No, not yet. We're not going to do that right away. So perhaps our new dog gets fed in a different room or in a crate or in a kennel, right? We need to think about that. How are they going to play? Are you going to allow your dog to play in the house with your other dog? No. Listen, I'm going to tell you best practices based on my experience. And again, let me forewarn you, I have in the past had 19 dogs. Okay. I currently, right now, as we speak, have 5 dogs in my house. How do I do that and keep my sanity? It's through setting up expectations and boundaries right from the get-go. And if you're someone who's only had 1 dog, you haven't had to think about these things. So I want you to think about them now. Do I let my dogs play in the house? No, I do not. I don't do that. And you know why? Because it becomes Banana Beans Crazy Town if you do that. And you don't want Banana Beans Crazy Town in your house. If you're someone like me, you want a nice, calm, peaceful house. So we start these expectations immediately before the dog comes in, before we allow it. And this is what happens. This is what always happens. People bring the new dog home. They open the door and they go, here you go. Here's your home. And the new dog comes in and goes, okay. And they might be a little bit reserved at first. But then there's excitement and all that stuff. So maybe the new dogs start to wrestle and play and we go, oh my gosh, they love each other. Look at how good they're doing. They love each other. But you've set an expectation there. You started a pattern. Where the dog goes, okay, I'm allowed to wrestle in the house whenever I want, whenever I feel like it. Do you want that for the rest of your days? Probably not. I'm going to say not, because a lot of people are going to come to me like 6 months down the road and be like, these dogs are driving me crazy. They're out of control, right? So I want you to think about that. Where are they going to play? How are you going to exercise them? What are your walks going to look like? How are you going to walk them together? Can you walk them together? Do both of your dogs walk well on a leash? Does the new dog maybe pull a little bit? Perhaps maybe we're going to set aside some training for the new dog, right? We're going to set aside some drills and some skills for the new dog so that the dog walks really, really well. Because what you don't want is a dog that's pulling you on the leash and you have your other dog who walks really, really well and you've done all this work with them and now you've got one arm extended out, one arm extended back, and you're like, well, this walk is miserable. Perhaps maybe for the first little while you're going to walk them separately. I don't know. Maybe they'll walk brilliantly together. Who knows? But for now, you got to figure that out. Okay, and what is the routine? What is your actual routine? What is your routine and what is your boundaries? I need you to think about that now. Right now, day 1, the first moments the dog comes in. Because here's what a new dog is looking for when they come into your home. Here's what they're looking for. They're looking for survival things. When a new dog comes into your new home, they're going to start looking at all of the things survival. Who feeds me? Where's the water at? Where do I sleep? Who walks me? Who can I manipulate to get more treats? Who can I manipulate to get more snuggles? Who's going to let me on the couch? Who's going to let me get away with stuff? That is what your new dog is doing. They're going to go through the whole gamut of testing because they're in a new environment. They don't know. We call this phase the honeymoon phase. So many of our, that's why I said to you last week, I'm like, if your rescue is kind, they'll give you a trial period. But what you don't want in this trial period is you do not want in any way to sabotage this trial period. I want you to go into this trial period with your eyes wide open. I want you to understand that this honeymoon phase is where your new dog is going to be a little bit more reserved because they don't know what to expect. They're just testing things. They're tweaking things. They're going, okay, what happens when I do this? What happens if I get up on the couch? Are they going to say no or are they going to say yes? And for the record, pro tip here, if you say nothing, you've said yes. Let me say that again so that really drives home, because I think a lot of people miss that. If you say nothing, if your new dog offers you up a behavior and you say nothing, you do not give them feedback on that behavior, that's a yes in their book. Nothing happened. I did this thing, nothing happened. I can do it again. Right? I want you to keep in mind too, in these first few days, this offering up of behavior is usually just a yes or no question. It's not the dog being mean or anything. It's just yes or no questions. I don't know what to be expected here. You're new to me. This is a new environment. What happens if I get on the couch? You said no? Oh, all right. Okay. What happens if I steal this thing out of the garbage? Oh, you really didn't like that. Okay. What happens if I steal the other dog's ball? Did the dog get mad? Did the person get mad? Did anything happen? No, I can probably steal that ball again. This is all testing and tweaking and figuring out and trying to understand their new environment in the form of survival, because that's what they need to do. That's what they need to do. Now, what we do, as I mentioned before, what we do, and this is where lots of us go wrong, is we go, well, I want the dog to feel at home, so I don't want to put too much on them. I want them to feel like that, like this house is their own. So I'm going to let them do some things and I'll figure it out later, or I'll put the restrictions or the boundaries on later. No, do it now. Because again, they're not insulted by it. They're not insulted. Dogs aren't insulted by your boundaries, by the way, especially in a new environment. They're not insulted by it. They're not going to be like, how dare you tell me I can't sleep on the couch? They don't know. So they literally are like, I'm just trying stuff. Why not? If it works, it works. If it doesn't, okay, I'll move on. Right? Even bonus points if you say, no, you can't lie here, but here's where you can lie. Oh, okay. I lie in this dog bed. Okay. I got it. No problem. No problem. Right? We just tend to give them carte blanche and be like, there you go. Just do whatever you want. And then later on, I'm going to tell you all the things that really actually bother me. Don't do that to your poor dog. Okay? It's all about survival. And this honeymoon phase that you're in right now is literally the dog going, all right, I'm going to try this. I'm going to test this. I'm going to tweak this. They're going to be a little bit more reserved, right? They're going to be a little bit more reserved because they're not really sure. There's a lot of questions that they're trying to figure out. When the honeymoon phase is over is when they start to get comfortable and they start to go, okay, I kind of know now that guy over there, if I give him the puppy dog eyes, he's going to give me extra treats. I kind of know that teenage kid over there isn't really paying attention and I can steal his chicken sandwich when he's not looking. I kind of know that cat in that room is the devil and I can't even cross that threshold, right? They will be picking up all those things. And when they start to get comfortable, when they start to get a pattern of predictability, that's when they start to settle in. And that's when the real dog comes out. They'll start to be like, okay, now I'm feeling kind of comfortable. Now I can start to be myself. And that's when people go, I don't know, they were so great the first couple weeks, but now they're driving me crazy. Well, no, they were probably giving you some clues and you just didn't see them. And that's different. Okay? So that's the honeymoon phase. That's what the new dog is coming in. Where we go wrong is we put our emotional stories on it. We tell ourselves, well, I feel bad for the dog, so I want to make sure that they feel welcome and all that stuff. They don't need that. That's not what they're looking for. They're looking for you to actually tell them what are the boundaries, what are the rules, what are the expectations, because the moment that they know that, now they can settle in. Right? If those things are changing all the time, it's going to make it confusing for the dog and they can't settle in. Okay? Now, one more point I want to think about, the one more point I want you to think about is this idea of fair. Okay, I really want to break this down for you because we're not, all of those things that I just talked about would be the same things I tell you if you were just bringing a brand new dog into your home and you had no other dogs. I would tell you the exact same tips. Make sure you're telling them where their boundaries are. Make sure you're telling them what you want. There's questions or just questions, yes or no. Let them know, give them feedback, all of that stuff. But you have a dog. You have a great dog. You have a dog that's been living with you for a while. You have a dog. So now I want to talk about this idea of fair because this is also where we struggle. In our human mind, the way we do things, we have this concept of what we think is fair. I'm reminded of it I have teenagers, and I've always loved the fact that my teenagers, especially like when you're dolling out dessert or something, they are keenly looking at how big of a piece of pie my sister got versus what I got. And is that fair? That's not fair. How come she gets more of whatever? My kids are teenagers. They still do it. They did it when they were kids. They still do it now. Is that fair? Right? We have a sense of what is fair. And in our minds, we will start to come up with these ideas of what we think is fair for our new dog versus the dog that has been living with us. Things like, well, this is, Fido's bed and he was here first, so it's his stuff. Or this is Fido's toy and he was here first, so that's his way. Or even differently, this Fido sleeps on the bed with me, therefore this new dog should sleep on the bed with me. And this is where we go almost tragically wrong, okay? Because dogs don't deal in the same fairness as we do. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this, when I said, where's the new dog going to sleep? And I said, even if your dog sleeps on your bed, your new dog should not sleep on your bed. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Okay, there's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, my very first reason for the sleeping on the bed part or the no sleeping on the bed part is because when you are sleeping, you are at your most vulnerable. Okay, when you are sleeping, you are at your most vulnerable. Your bedroom, your bed, your sanctuary, all of that stuff is as intimate as it can be because you are at your most vulnerable and you are sleeping. And when you invite a predator to sleep in the same bed as you while you're sleeping, that is a high level of trust. And that high level of trust takes time to establish. So a brand new dog, especially an adult dog that you have adopted, that you know nothing about, has not established that level of trust to be able to sleep with you. That's point number one when it comes to sleeping. My next point, though, is that if you have another dog that sleeps with you and you've allowed that dog to sleep in your bed with you at nighttime, that means that you have established a relationship with a high level of trust with that dog. But that dog is not going to afford the same level of trust with a new dog. And they may have a possessionary discussion with your new dog regarding space, levels, and the intimacy of the den. So even a dog that you took for a walk and he met the new dog and they liked each other and they played together and they went for a walk together and everything's fine, that does not translate to you can sleep in the den with me with my human. Right? That does not. And hey, I know some people are going to come in and be like, I let my new dog sleep in the bed and everything turned out fine. Great. That may happen, but it also may not. And what we don't want is that expectation of a new dog entering into a new space and getting high level trust priority sleep sections in your in your house. That's not how that works. Okay? So I would caution you to not do that. Which is why I said, when you bring this new dog home, where are they going to sleep? Now, this gets very, very complex. And I will say this, if you're someone that is interested in pack dynamics and multiple dog households, I'm not advertising this as much right now because we're in the process of revamping it, but technically the program is open. And if you're interested and you're like, I really need some help with this, you can reach out to me and ask me if Relationship Remedy is a good fit for you. It's going to be coming up. It's being revamped. I'm really excited about all of that. I don't talk about it a lot right now. Relationship Remedy is my online program. And here's what I will say about that. If you're somebody that is either struggling with these kind of things, or you're somebody that's like, I have a lot of dogs, or I'd like to, maybe get another dog, and this is something that concerns you, and you're like, oh, I've never even thought about how dogs see the den, how dogs see your bed, and this interests you, reach out to me. Email me. Let me know, and I'll let you know if Relationship Remedy is a good fit for you. It's a premium program. It involves videos and lots of good stuff, but I digress. The reason why I say this is because I'm going to get into this stuff. It's really hard for me to sort of cover everything in this, but that is a big one for me. So where does your dog sleep is a big one, especially in those first few days. Now, I don't want you to put the new dog in the garage, right? I do want you to treat your dog like it is a member of your family, right? So when we're talking about the multi-dog household, we want to make sure that we are respecting each dog's individual and innate qualities while underneath this umbrella of we're all together. But that doesn't include the bed, especially when you first start. Okay, I got to move on. The other thing that I want you to think about when it comes to sleeping is also, where are your dogs going to be when you aren't home? Right? These are things that I want you to think about. And here's the other reason for that. When we start off, when we get a brand new dog, we are working on building a relationship of trust and all of that good stuff. That means you have to be there, right? You have to be there with that critical eye to see those conversations, how their dog's interacting. Is your dog talking to you? Are they using levels? Are they trying to get on the bed? All of that good stuff. There's so many things we can talk about. But when you're not there, my recommendation is that your new dog is put in a crate for safety. Okay? So getting a new dog that is crate trained is ideal, because one of the things that I've always done, especially with my groups of dogs, is that I have never allowed a dog that I have adopted into my pack to be left alone without me there unattended. So that even includes in my kennel. So I will have them in play groups and all of that stuff. But if I'm not there, they don't get to stay. Like when I say kennel, our kennel is like big runs. And so my dogs that I have raised together from puppies, they can actually stay together. So there's sometimes 2 or 3 dogs in a run, because it's like, back in the day, it was a 10 by 10 run, right? But if I adopted a brand new dog, they never stayed with the core pack. They always had their individual space if I wasn't around. Because you need to be aware of all of those conversations that are happening, especially in those first days and months moving in. So it's a trust thing. So you want to think about, where your dog's going to be when you're not at home. I don't want to leave a new dog that I barely know just running around with my dog that's in the house. So that's something else to think about. And then again, as I've always mentioned, how will they play? Where will they play? And will we allow them to play in the house? And the answer for me for that is no. Okay. For me, that is no. And if you're following me along with this and you're really into all of the stuff that I'm talking about, as I mentioned last week, and you get really good at multi-dogs and canine conversations, and you just have a keen eye like I do, it gets too easy for you to bring more and more dogs in. So you do not want to set up the expectation that dogs are playing in your house. because it gets banana beans crazy. Okay. And then finally, what I want to talk about is there's so many things that we can talk about, but this is kind of the overview of those first couple of days, things that I want you to think about. I mentioned the feeding. I don't feed those dogs together. I feed them in the same room with the presence of me, never leave them unattended with bones, high value bones, never leave them unattended with food or treats or treat balls. Any of those things if I am not there. If they have those things, they are in their own separate crates or runs having those. I do not leave them unattended, okay? Because you haven't built that level of trust yet or know what's going to happen. So the third, or I don't know if it's the third or final thing. I've talked about a lot of things. The last thing that I want to talk about is this idea of pattern of predictability. The true reason why your dog settles down. Dogs are creatures of patterns. They live by patterns. So what your new dog is looking for when they come into your home is a pattern of predictability. And that is your routine, your things that you do on a daily. What time do they get fed? What time do your dogs get walked? What time does playtime? All of those things start to create what is called a pattern of predictability for your dog. And when your dog starts to feel like they can predict the outcome of their environment with as close to 100% accuracy as possible, that's when your dogs truly settle in. That's when they can go, okay, I understand that. I want you to think about it this way. Like when you move to a new area, let's say you pick up and you decide one day to move from Ontario to Nova Scotia with 19 dogs and 4 horses and 3 goats and a pig and a bunch of cats and a tank of fish. I don't know who would do that. That person would be crazy. But let's say that's what you did. When you move to that new area, it's a new area, it's kind of a new culture, you don't know what's going on. You start off feeling very uncomfortable because you don't know anything. You don't know where's the grocery store, what time is garbage pickup, what are all these things that are happening. It's not until you get that pattern of predictability that you start to settle in and feel like you're at home. And dogs are no different. So they're looking for that pattern of predictability. What is the outcome of their environment? And that takes time. So when I want you to think about pattern of predictability in like short-term versus long-term. So we're looking at, the day-to-day pattern of predictability. Again, when do they eat? When do they walk? When do they rest? All of that stuff, they're looking for that. So when you get a new dog in, you want to get that routine, those boundaries set up right away. The sooner you set those up, the sooner your dog can settle in. But let's take it one step further because there's also other patterns in our life that change. And this is why when people adopt a dog, I will often say to them, truly, your dog hasn't officially settled in until they have had 2 years in your home. And that shocks a lot of people. But if you think about that pattern of predictability, things change for us based on the day, the days of the week, right? We're different on weekends than we are during the week. We're different on holidays than we are on non-holidays. We're different in the spring than we are in the fall. There's different routines and patterns that we humans do based on the seasons of our life, which is why I say your dog has to experience 2 winters before that becomes a pattern. Your dog has to experience 2 seasons of back to school before that becomes a pattern. Your dog has to experience 2 seasons of springtime when the scents are fresh and they're out running around. You get my point. 2 years before they're really capable of forming that pattern of predictability where they feel like they are settled in. So when we're talking about the work that we do right now to create a dog, like to create an atmosphere and a life and a home for a new dog so that they feel comfortable, you got your work cut out for you. But it's not something we have to stress about. We just have to make sure that we're setting up those patterns. You know that the dog now is looking for survival. Who feeds me? Who walks me? Where's my food treats at? Who can I manipulate? All of that stuff. We now know that dogs don't deal in fair. Right? Dogs don't deal in fair, like this is my bed, so I get to be there first. They don't deal that way. That's not how that works. So you need to have a keen eye and observation of what it is that your dogs are saying to one another. We know the dangers of potentially letting our new dogs, have whatever they want, sleeping in our beds, doing everything that the other dog does. That's not how things work. So we want to be careful about stuff like that. All of that good stuff. This is a huge topic. I've gone on for a very long time. I'm going to end that here. If you have any questions about this, please be sure to reach out to me. When it comes to the multi-dog home, I love it. I love it. And if you're someone that's perhaps struggling and you're thinking you might need a little bit extra help, reach out to me about the option of applying for Relationship Remedy, my online program. That program is open. It's not advertised right now, but if you're struggling and it might be a good fit for you, I will let you know. As always, get out there today and be the person that your dog thinks you are, because your dog thinks that you are amazing. And so do I. Have a great week, everybody. I will talk to you all next week. Bye for now.